Good morning, afternoon, or evening to everyone joining us today. My name is Andrius Sankauskas. I'm honored to start this special event organized by the Innovation Agency in a collaboration with the Lithuanian Embassy in South Korea. As Lithuania's commercial attaché in Korea, I'm here to build strong ties between our countries and support businesses in the dynamic market. If you are looking for opportunities or partnerships in Korea, feel free to reach out. I'm really happy to help. Today, we are diving into the vibrant and innovative Korean startup ecosystem, exploring opportunities for collaboration and learning from some of the most prominent leaders and organizations shaping the dynamic landscape. Our agenda is packed with insights from understanding how startups in Korea flourish, to learning about the critical role accelerators, investors, global partners play in their growth. We are privileged to have industry experts from organizations like KISET, GDIN, TAP Angel Partners, Hyundai Motors Group, and AG Marketing, sharing their expertise. For a further moderation of the session will be taken over by Ms. Karolina Urbonaitė, the head of Startup Lithuania, who will guide us through the presentations and the discussions. Karolina, just say hi.
Thank you, Andres, and hello, everyone.
Without further delay, let's get started with our first speaker, Mr. Kim, liaison manager from KISET, who will introduce us to the Korean startup ecosystem. Thank you all and enjoy the session.
Lava Diana from Korea. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Konho Kim, Liaison Manager of the Korea Institute of Startup and Entrepreneurship Development, KISET. And I'm working at the Global Expansion Team, and I'm responsible for liaison affairs and international cooperation. So first and foremost, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude for the opportunity to speak to all of you on behalf of my institution. And my special thanks reach out to His Excellency, Mr. Andrius Sankauskas for meticulous preparation of this event, and the audience for your attendance despite your busy schedule. And I strongly believe that your presence here today clearly shows how much strong interest you have in the Korean startup ecosystem. My presentation is divided into two parts. So first, I will introduce my institution and our major global startup programs. And next, I would like to share my 2 cents by answering to the questions that I have received beforehand. Yeah, so first and foremost, let me introduce KISET to all of you. The Ministry of SMEs and Startups of the Republic of Korea has been pouring tremendous efforts in fostering dynamic venture ecosystem, focusing on innovative startups, scale-up, virtuous cycle of investment, nurturing global unicorns, and support for re-challenge. And as a public institution closely working with the Ministry of SMEs and Startups, KISET has been operating a variety of startup programs, which provides funds for commercialization and special modules to 5,000 or more of startups annually. We categorize startups into 3 different steps according to their development stage: pre, early, and scale up, to provide catered support for startups in each stage. More importantly, not only to the Korean startups who wish to enter the global market, the Global Expansion Team, where I'm working for, provides support for non-Korean startups so that they can also make a foray into the Korean market. So as KISET divides startups into 3 different development stages to effectively and efficiently operate startup programs, we have different outbound global startup programs for Korean startups in different stages of their preparation. Namely, we have Global Startup Academy, or capacity building of startups who are preparing for global expansion. We operated this program up until last year, and this year, another institution, our partner institution, is now operating this program and responsible for this program. But I'm introducing this program for your understanding. And we have Global Market Expansion Program, which is for startups who are ready to enter the global market. And K Startup Center program is for startups for those who are already in the target market and wish to settle down in their target market. So you may be curious, what is next for 2025? Because we are less than 1 month away from the year 2025. Here's typo. Sorry for that. Please understand that. And we have planned for a variety of inbound programs for non-Korean startups to enter the Korean startup ecosystem. And this is, I would like to introduce the 3 key startup policies of the Korean government, which is OASIS, Korean Embassy's program, and K-Scouter program. So first, overall assistance for startup immigration system, OASIS, and it provides non-Korean entrepreneurs with startup education, mentorship, and support for incorporation in Korea, and offers support for visa acquisition, such as startup visa, trade visa, or job seeker visa in Korea. And unlike previous years, when we provided only one-on-one classes for startups, startup coaching and mentorship and support for incorporation in Korea, the scope of this program will be further expanded, such as offering specialized education on trade and commerce, business canvas, and networking events for alumni startups. And this year, we also introduced Startup Korea Special Visa so that non-Korean entrepreneurs can easily enter the Korean startup ecosystem with the special visa. And today we have had a very first Startup Korea special visa recipient who is Spanish. And next, Korean Embassy's program. And this new program is aiming at supporting promising non-Korean companies in the local startup ecosystem, taking into account their specialties of each country. So each Korean embassy overseas will plan and push forward its own specialized program that fits into the specific circumstances and specialties of the country. And last but not least, K-Scouter program. And we also introduced, and it is like we got the motivation and we got this concept from Global Entrepreneurship Program of the United Kingdom. And it is aiming at identifying and attracting non-Korean startups who wish to enter the Korean market. And the program leverages foreign embassies like foreign embassies or investment offices or commercial attaché in Korea. And we will leverage those kinds of entities in Korea as case scouters to promote Korean startup ecosystem in their home countries and have them identify and recommend some excellent startups in their local market. And for our side, we will prepare for introduction to the Korean startup ecosystem to non-Korean startups with 7 years or less of experience. We're recommended by those case scouters, and we will also arrange their business meetings with Korean conglomerates and startups while providing education, mentorship, and office spaces and visa support. And this concludes the introduction of my institution and our major global startup programs. And from now on, I would like to share my 2 cents about some questions that I've received from the audience beforehand. So before I answer to the question, please understand that I'm not the one who can give a very sector-specific or area-specific answers. So these are questions that I received not only from your side, but also from the other global entrepreneurs. So the first question is, what has changed in the startup ecosystem after COVID-19 and what has caused the changes? And even though COVID-19 already subsided, there are a lot of difficulties and struggles in the global community, and as you may see last week in Korea also. So as you may be well aware, post-COVID, we are seeing everything going contactless and digital. And we have seen rapid pace of digital transformation. And according to Startup Trend Report of the Statistics Korea, in the first half of 2020, when COVID-19 broke out and spread around the world, we saw the number of startups plummeted this number started to rebound in the second half. And moreover, the pandemic has had disproportionate impact on different sectors, namely brick and mortar businesses and tech-based startups. Brick and mortar businesses refer to lodging and restaurants that usually provide simple and contact-based services, while tech-based startups that we are calling in Korea, tech-based startups refers to companies based on new and creative ideas and business models. So unlike many other economic slowdown, when brick and mortar businesses increased in number during the COVID-19 pandemic, the sector was hit harder than tech-based startups. And it is mainly because restaurants and lodging businesses are mainly based on people-to-people contact. However, we saw rapid growth of tech-based startups such as R&D, consulting, IT consulting, software development, data processing, or deep tech, to which we call like deep tech networking, AI-based, and robotics. And if I say so, people used to ask me, how about retailers and wholesalers? And these sectors are deemed very old-fashioned businesses, but we saw their growth even amid COVID-19. And even though they are categorized into brick and mortar businesses, they're hit less because since the outbreak, it went contactless and digital by leveraging online shopping mall, and other age-old sectors like logistics are also hit less harder than other sectors. So in a nutshell, the Korean government will provide support so that these kinds of industries can easily go contactless and digital. To that end, it is focusing on fostering social and cultural background for more dynamic startup ecosystem. And more specifically, characteristics of each sector and industry should be analyzed, and we have to further our effort for digital transformation of the age-old and brick-and-mortar business sectors. So I hope this answer was helpful, as it is linked to the question from the floor that I received from your side, which is, which sectors are open to foreign startups? So in a nutshell, I could say that the Korean government is highly interested in digital transformation, something digital, something robotic, something AI, something very high-tech or high-end technologies. So if you are focusing on those sectors, or even you are in brick and mortar or old-fashioned businesses, if you have a creative idea to transform your business model by integrating those kinds of high-end technologies, and you will get a lot of attention in the Korean startup ecosystem. So now let's move on to the next question. And what should we do for next pandemics and upcoming economic slowdown? So as many people from academia have already warned that COVID is first, but not the last pandemic that will invade the humankind. To rise to the challenge to come, I strongly believe that there will be 4 main solutions, but I think we are running out of our time. So, let me briefly share my thoughts about that. So we have to raise the awareness of social values and branding, and we have to do away with post-globalization, and we also have to enhance clients' experience and accelerate digital transformation. So once again, digital transformation. Even though you already have witnessed the kinds of political unrest that unveiled in Korea last week, regardless of the political position, this government and the governments to come will focus on digital transformation of the sector and will provide much larger support to tech-based startups. So you have to focus what kinds of technological characteristics you have to emphasize on to lure Korean government's attention and Korean companies' attention. So third and last question is as follows. Startups are facing the challenges of lack of capital, lack of demand. How was Korea able to overcome such difficulties even amid COVID-19? And according to Startup Genome, 72% of startups worldwide had experienced a decline in demand. and which caused decline in their profits. To tackle with the challenges, increasing number of startups had already laid off, were cutting the salaries of the employees. And to deal with the suffering, all the stakeholders in the startup ecosystem is needed. So Korea swiftly and efficiently faced the challenge and succeeded in minimizing the economic impact of the pandemic compared to their other developed countries' counterpart. So Korea played a tentpole role in global economic recovery, as in the impact was disproportionate. The pace of recovery was also disproportionate. However, Korean companies were swift enough in overcoming those kinds of business difficulties. And I would like to share key recipes for the success. And the main ingredients of the success was that Korean companies were very receptive to the changes of the market, and Korean companies were very rapid in adapting to the transformation. And so the fourth, there are many ingredients of the success of the Korean companies overcoming those kinds of difficulties. And I hope that I could have another session to elaborate on those kinds of ingredients, what made Korean companies so successful even amid those kinds of pandemic, and what made Korean companies and Korean businesses and Korean economy very comparably stable even amid this kinds of political unrest. And when I go to these kinds of startup events, many entrepreneurs ask me, especially non-Korean startups ask me, is Korean legal framework sufficiently friendly enough to the foreign startups? Frankly speaking, not, because of language barrier. So even though we are very open and we have very receptive, we are very welcoming environment, but there is a very huge barrier, which is language barrier. We have still many things to be translated and to be introduced, should be localized. So I can say that Korean startup ecosystem itself is very friendly and very kind and very welcoming to the non-Korean startups, but there is a bumpy road ahead. We have a long way to go. In order to make Korean startup ecosystem more friendly and more comfortable for non-Korean startups to use. And recent political turmoil in Korea and this global economic slowdown are adding to the woes of the startup sector, especially for entrepreneurs and VCs home and abroad. However, as all of you may know, Korean startup ecosystem is very strong and competitive, even amid pandemic, even amid political turmoil, even amid economic slowdown. We are preparing for a variety of inbound programs, which non-Korean startups can leverage to enter the Korean market. We look forward to your keen interest. And should you have any further questions, please feel free to contact to the people in charge in KISET. And I would be happy to connect you, to liaise you to those kinds of personnel. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Kun-ko Kim. I wanted to remind everyone that who is watching that if you have any questions to our speakers, you can ask them in the comments, and they're gonna answer it after all the sessions. And now I would like to welcome Sogjing Chang, Managing Director at the Global Digital Innovation Network, to talk a little bit more of supporting global collaborations between startups in Korea.
Thank you, Carolina. Hello, everyone in Lithuania, and thank you for joining this session. First of all, my thanks to the Lithuanian Embassy here in Korea and Startup Lithuania for hosting such a great event. So today I'd like to talk a little bit about why we are talking about the global tech startup collaboration and what kind of strategies we have to promote this collaboration, in this case between Korea and Lithuania. So as introduced, I'm the Managing Director of Global Digital Innovation Network. We are a foundation registered under the Ministry of Science and ICT. So we work with very deep tech startups that are looking to expand to the global market. Before I continue, I think we should kind of talk about where we stand and the biggest paradigm shift that we are seeing, not just in the startup ecosystem, but globally, is the shift from conventional export-oriented global collaboration to digital expansion-oriented global collaboration. So in the previous paradigm, globalization would encompass, creating products, services, locally adapting your products and shipping them. That would be the previous paradigm. Whereas right now we're talking more about data, service, AI-oriented technologies, which cannot be simply packed and shipped. They need to globally and digitally expand, which requires a lot of localization efforts and sometimes, and most of the time, recalibration of existing data for the local market. So that is going to entail a lot of collaboration, and that is why GDIN is working intensively. In the case of Lithuania, we've had delegations from Startup Lithuania, some Lithuanian startups, the Embassy of Lithuania as well, to promote this collaboration. So in essence, the Global Digital Innovation Network selects key deep tech startups from the Korean ecosystem, and we work solely for the global market expansion of these tech companies. So we provide legal, patent, accounting, investment, marketing, all kinds of supports that startups need to expand to the respective markets, and all of the different programs like product market fit, capacity building, tech matching, IR, and other activities that these startups may require. Over the past 10 years that we have been in operation, we've worked with over 3,000 startups, providing them with professional consulting. As you can see on the screen, a lot of overseas patent applications, business contracts, incorporation, and of course, over $4 billion accumulated investment for our member companies. Many of our member companies have been successful, becoming global unicorns or being listed in KOSDAQ, which is the Korean NASDAQ market. But today I wanted to share a little bit more about our key program that supports global collaboration, as the title of my presentation, between tech startups. As our name, although we are a foundation, our name ends in the word network. We believe in the power of networks. And during COVID, which we thought that global collaboration was very, very difficult, we came up with a new program called Global Joint Venture Support Program. In essence, what GDIN does is we support financial non-equity grants, and we provide up to $100,000 for any Korean tech startup and overseas tech startup to work together. And if they agree to form a joint venture outside Korea, we would support the necessary funding, non-equity grants to cover your legal, patent, accounting, travel, office, things that two startups need to form a joint venture and to grow together. This was a very bold experiment looking back, but during the past 3 years that we've run this program, we've already created over 36 global joint ventures and over 40 JV partnerships that some of them will eventually also become joint ventures. And now reflected in this map is this year's result. We have 10 more joint ventures that have been created through our joint venture support program. One of the exciting features of this program is that, as you can see on the map, it's very geographically diverse. So conventional challenges that startups had in expanding to other nations' markets or collaborating with other nations' startups, it was very difficult due to language barriers, regulatory barriers, localization challenges. But through the modality of a joint venture, all of these joint ventures that you see on the map, the left logo being the Korean startup and the right logo being the local startup, have agreed that they have, they could gain a mutual benefit and create synergy by creating a joint venture. And now some of these joint ventures are receiving investments from the local markets. They're growing their business and even expanding to other markets. We have just also, we've been working very much together with the Embassy of Lithuania to see if we can also create more and more joint ventures between Korean and Lithuanian startups. By fact, I know that there's the Lithuanian startup ecosystem is very advanced. The technology levels of some of the key industries is very, very high in Lithuania. And I think there's a lot of potential that can be created by matching and linking startups between Korea and Lithuania. So if some of the people in the audience, if you're doing a startup, or if you know of a Korean startup that you're already talking with, or if you're looking for a certain kind of technologies, GDI will be very happy to talk to you to see if potential joint ventures can be created. And through next year's support program, we could help you create the joint venture and grow together under collaboration in the global market. So we think that joint ventures can be a very important enabler for national and global innovation. We are working together with different countries, setting up platforms that we call Global Tech Studio that match startups, that source projects, and of course, as I mentioned earlier, providing our JV promotion grant so that these JVs can meet, they can grow, they can be accelerated. And of course, we are kind of also helping them on the sidelines to kind of minimize the financial burdens that two startups may face when they talk about forming a joint venture. So the word that we have created for this kind of modality is collaborative technopreneurship. We use the word technopreneurship because not all entrepreneurs are tech-oriented. And yes, it is possible to create JVs between non-tech entrepreneurs, but we found it very, very difficult. So usually these joint ventures are created by two startups, entrepreneurs that have proprietary technology and that are willing to collaborate to expand to global markets together. So as you can see, in this case, Lithuania, you have a lot of deep tech startups and companies. We have a lot of deep tech companies and startups here in Korea. I'm sure both of the startups have technologies. If the case where a Korean startup wants to work with a Lithuanian startup to expand to Lithuania, of course, the Lithuanian partner will be there to help with the localization and local operation. And the other way is also possible. The beauty of this program is that two startups can meet and also create their joint venture in a third country. So it is possible for a Korean startup and a Lithuanian startup to agree to set up their joint venture in Berlin, in Paris, in London. So these kind of different combinations are also possible for our support. So here at GDIN, our vision is to create a global digital road. We know that there are technology demands and technology supplies, and we need people like GDIN, we need people like Startup Lithuania that link technologies, that link startups, demand and supply so that we can create a true global digital road. And to do that, of course, the GDIN's operational strategy is to continue this partnership matching between Korean tech companies and startups and overseas tech companies and startups. We are here to create and support these joint partnerships or even joint ventures as legal entities. At the same time, we are working with our partners to source local projects that may exist in Lithuania, but projects that may exist in Europe, in South America, in Southeast Asia, regardless, projects that require new digital transformation technologies. And I'm sure that startups from Korea, startups from Lithuania have the respective solutions that can solve these challenges for digital transformation, and we'll be very happy to link those opportunities to our very promising startups. So to summarize, over the past 10 years, the GDIN Foundation has been working as an accelerator, as a global accelerator for Korean tech startups. We are now also starting our second phase as an independent foundation to create more leaders in global digital transformation. And as all of you may probably know, I have realized by now, the demand for digital transformation exists everywhere. Farming, fishery, food, life, bio. So, wherever there are new demands for digital transformation, we think the startups are the ones that have the solution to provide for this digital transformation, for the transition into digital transformation. And I think entities like GDIN are the ones that really support this kind of initiative. So in summary, the GDIN Foundation, again, working towards previously a global expansion of Korean tech companies, but now with our new joint venture program, we are here to support joint ventures between Korean and overseas startups, in this case, Lithuania. We're very happy to support those initiatives. Do let us know. We are very active on LinkedIn. So if you want more information, you can always reach out to us through LinkedIn, and we're very happy to talk to you. So thank you very much again for the attention. And of course, I look very, very much forward to creating more tech partnerships between Korea and Lithuania. And again, thanks to Startup Lithuania and the Lithuanian Embassy here in Seoul for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sogjing Chang. I'm glad that you finished with how to reach out to you, because I can see that we already got one question, how to connect with you and with a Korean startup, especially in medtech vertical. So I think you already answered. The best way to connect with you is via LinkedIn. So we will definitely share. We already shared the whole agenda so everyone can see your name. So that, to the audience, you can reach out via LinkedIn. Thank you so much. And now I would like to welcome Mr. Yongsung Chang, who's gonna speak about the role of Korean accelerators in supporting startup growth.
I want to share my presentation first. Yeah. Hi, my name is Yongsung Chang. I'm working at Taipei Partners as a team leader. So thank you for inviting me to this great event. My presentation topic is the role of the Korean accelerators in supporting startup growth. Actually, my content is gonna be overlaps the previous section, so please understand if you have the overlap to the information first. Before talking about my presentation, I want to briefly introduce our company first. Our company was established in 2018, and we have more than 33 people who is the venture capitalist in our company. And we have several blind fund and project fund to invest in Korean company, non-Korean company. Although the investment management scale is small, but we have an AUM about more than $28 million. Okay, so the Korean accelerator is focused on the how to make startup growth rapidly. In other words, how to scale up and value up. The early stage companies need significant support, and the accelerator plays a role in providing their resources and assistance to help the startup growth. So this is actually our strategic roadmap for valuation growth. First of all, we make the long-term partnership with startup, and then based on the partnership, we do the scale up and the value of strategies. Now, so in order to how to support the company, so what is the role of the accelerator? The essential role of the Korean accelerator is intermediary. This means we have to connect the startup and the various stakeholders. The stakeholder can divide it into the three main categories. The first is the capital raising, which is the investor, the government. The government can give the subsidiary or grant. The second is the customer, we call the just general customer, company, government. The third one is the specialist. It's kind of the customized consulting. Is by the lawyer, the patent attorney, the HR, and so on. The first main category is the capital raising. As we are accelerator, we also do the direct investment. I think the Korean accelerator have a similar perspective. In terms of the company valuation, we invest in companies at less than 10 million won, which is $7 million. And then our prepared section is the deep tech. The deep tech is AI, big data, software, or material, digital healthcare. And our funding source is from by the blind fund or project fund. The second one is we do the support for the follow-on funding. Before those have the follow-on funding, we help to make the investment strategies first. For example, the early stage companies need more the POC or market validation, and then we match the strategic investment, such as the Hyundai, Samsung, LG. They have their own venture capital company. So we match it that CVC. And if they don't want to like the PLC or market validation, we just match it the financial investor. The third one, I think that is the most important things in Korea, the government. The government play a biggest role in the venture capital ecosystem in Korea because they have a huge fund and they give the huge government subsidiary or grant. Like there are the three main categories of the government subsidy, which is R&D, commercialization, and credit guarantee. I'm gonna introduce the main or the representative, the government subsidiary, which is the TIPS. The first, the TIPS operator, after TIPS operator invest in the company over the 100 million wons, and then they can recommend the portfolio to the government. Before that, so what is the TIPS operator? TIPS operator can be the venture capital or company or accelerator that's certified by the government. So after this investment, they recommend their portfolio to government, and the government gave the subsidiary to the portfolio company, and is the maximum, I think, the $1.1 million. So in terms of the capital raising, though, you have to know how to get the government subsidiary. The second one is the customer connection support. I divided the two sections, the B2B and B2G. In Korea, the major Korean companies are seeking to collaborate with startup for new business expansion or to serve the internet corporate challenge. I think the next presentation is the Hyundai. The Hyundai is doing the best in open innovation program in Korea. I'm gonna briefly introduce the process of open innovation program. The first, they find the needs of the department and the test validation. After that, they do the PLC, and the last one, they do the showcase or production. If the PLC result very positive, CVC do the investment in the startup. The second one is the B2G. If you want to sell the government, you have to register in the procurement, the platform. The platform is connecting to the local or central government. So the public market entry program is help the government, help the startup to how to register procurement platform or how to get the bonus points from the platform. So these two programs, I think the non-Korean startup is easily to get the help from the Korean stakeholders. The third one is the customized consulting. I said the customized consulting is like based on the needs of the startup. I gave the HR or IR, the legal advisories, and so on. These three things is the representative things in customized consulting. The many early stage, I don't know, the late stage companies want to know how to motivate their employees and the impractical. So we give the how to make the stock option contract and how to write that contract, the kind of things we give the consulting to the company. The IR is kind of related to the support the follow-on funding, the how to make the IR pitch deck, how to make the investment strategies, and so on. The last one is the legal advisory. So actually, we have the lawyer in our company, so we check the contract, which is investment contract or the sale contract, whatever. So we checked for the company, and they can reduce their cost because of us. I think this is the best case in my company. So the MOP, which is the material company, we invest in the MOP in the seed stage, and then we dispatch the CFO to the company, and we make the investment strategy, and we get the following funding from the SI and FI. And also we have help to the recruit the co-CEO to make the new business. So we also do the following funding. At the result of this, our health, this company is preparing for an initial public offering. I think after the IPO, we can get much more than 10 times multiple. So not just for us, but all Korean accelerator focus on how to scale up, and they give the very customized things to their companies, like non-Korean startup or non-Korean startup. This is all what I want to say, the role of the Korean startup. Actually, I want to let you know, so if you want how to connect the Korean accelerator or venture capital, not go directly contact to the stakeholder. You have to go first, like the Open Innovation Program or the government program, such as the previous presenter, previous the KISAT or GDI. I think that is the first step. You can connect first, and then they're gonna let us know, like accelerator or venture capital, and then we gonna do the next step. Okay, this is end for my presentation. Thank you for hearing.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your presentation and for your advice. And now, as we still have a few people left for our agenda, I would like to welcome on this digital stage. And please excuse my pronunciation if I'm not spelling it right. Mr. Julien Pervot, who is gonna introduce to investments and open innovation at Hyundai Motor Group. And he is a senior manager at Hyundai Motor Group.
Perfect. I heard my name in so many different ways. Everything works.
Yeah, the same
No
goes
worries.
for Lithuanian names as well, but so sorry if I pronounced it badly.
No problem. Let me share my screen briefly. Okay, you guys should have it. So as mentioned, my name is Guillaume. I'm a senior manager at Hyundai Motor Group. Today, I will briefly present the group itself and then our open innovation activities. If you have any questions, I think we only have 15 minutes, so just feel free to communicate to our friends, and then I will answer via email or directly have a call with you afterwards, so no problem at all. It's usually a longer presentation, and we have 15 minutes, so I'll skip through it. But again, if you have questions, just shoot them via email. Hyundai Motor Group, very briefly, we have to go through this. I'm sorry, the corporate message. It's three main brands. Obviously, it's Hyundai, it's Kia, it's Genesis. It's the automotive group that you might know the best. But Hyundai Motor Group is also much larger than that. as you might know already, similar to other Korean groups like Samsung or LG, we do a lot of other things. Automotive being the main part of it, 50% of our revenues are usually related to automotive, but we also do vehicle parts, as you can see. With Hyundai Mobis, Via, Transys, we are doing steel, Hyundai Steel. We're quite a big construction company as well, with Hyundai Construction and Hyundai Engineering. We're also in finance, with Hyundai Card, Capital, and a bunch of other businesses. We have Hyundai Glovis, which is the logistics. We have InOcean, which is the marketing. AutoEver is the software. Rotem is more on, for example, we're building subways, elevators, things like that. So I'm mentioning that because not for you to think, wow, Hyundai is such a great group, they do everything, but more to let you know that when it comes to open innovation and investment, we will obviously be looking at the automotive sector, because again, it's the core of what we do. But we also look at a bunch of other topics, including some of what I mentioned here. The way our division functions at the group level, so we're at the top of the pyramid, and then we work with some of the affiliates if they have a need in open innovation and in investment, and I'll delve into that a bit more. Just to finish on the group, we're the third largest car maker in the world. We have quite a lot of employees in quite a lot of countries. So this is just background info. Now on the innovation bit. And the first part, something that is probably not obvious for everybody, but why we started to do open innovation and investment in the first place. Basically, not much happened in the automotive industry for quite a long time. And early 2000, 2010, a bunch of things started to happen in our industry, automotive, mobility, manufacturing, etc. And we realized that we simply didn't have the talents internally to follow these new trends. And basically, we decided to start investing in those new sectors that were coming. So you have them on the screen on the right, integrated services, connected services, software, electrification of the vehicle, autonomous driving also was becoming something. So when we saw those big trends arrive, just think Tesla, for example, we started to understand we don't have the talent internally, and we have to work with startups and innovators outside the group to actually internalize those needs and get better at what we do. So that's when we decided to launch new project, a new investment and open innovation project. To put it simply, here you will have all the needs and all the core sectors that we're looking at when it comes to open innovation and when it comes to investment for the group. Obviously, mobility, smart mobility is a must. Electrification and hydrogen is also very big for us. Electrification and hydrogen, when we mention that, it's obviously innovation on the vehicle, but it's also on the entire value chain of these two things. So we'll be looking at new materials for the battery. We'll be looking at what's happening after for the second life battery or the recycling, for example. If you look at hydrogen, we'll also be looking at how to make hydrogen, how to store it, how to transport it. So the entire value chain, not just the technology itself for the vehicle. AI is obviously also core for basically everything now. A smart factory and robotics also are quite core for us. For obvious reasons, we want to have leaner production chains. We want to produce better, cheaper cars at a faster rate, and we want to be more flexible doing so. So obviously, smart factory and robotics are also very very important topics. So as you could see, we moved from a very traditional OEM making the same old big block of metals to go from A to B to a more, at least we're trying to, a more innovative corporate looking at all these different sectors to stay on top of the game. A brief history of what I mentioned. So started in the year 2000 with some of the first few investment in Korea. We started to do our first overseas investment in 2012 with the establishment of the first overseas office that we have. These overseas offices, we call them Cradle. I will present them briefly after. 2017, not no, I joined the company not too long after that. The first division solely dedicated to investment and innovation was created. At the time, it was called Strategy and Technology. Since then, we changed many, many times. I think it's good for our friends outside of Korea to realize that the Korean conglomerates, they like to change things up quite often. Actually, we had the reorganization of our division today. Don't worry, I still have a job. But don't refer when you're communicating with corporates in Korea. Don't be surprised if the name of the team is changing, if the people around are changing. Every year there is always a big movement in teams. So try to follow the same people and try to understand the dynamic. I think that will serve you well if you want to collaborate with Korean conglomerates. Anyway, that being said, 2017 the division was launched, changed a few times, and then we upgraded to the Open Innovation Execution division. In 2024 and 2025, we'll have a new name, but the mission stays the same. Work with great entrepreneurs and work with our business unit all together. The cradles I mentioned, we have overseas offices when it comes to investment and OI. The first one opened in Silicon Valley, as mentioned, 2012. Then we had Berlin, Tel Aviv, and Beijing pretty much in the same time, late 2018, early 19. And then we opened Singapore in 2021. These offices are basically the same that you would have in Korea. You have open innovation managers, you have investment managers, and the difference with the cradle is just they are in their own ecosystem and they are scouting good companies, good partners in their own ecosystem, and then sending it back to HQ in Korea. The one in Singapore is a little bit different than the other ones because we also have a smart factory in Singapore that was launched last year in November. The output of vehicles is not that much, but it's basically a test bed for new technology in manufacturing. So we are also doing a lot of proof of concept with our friends in Singapore. That's a complicated slide. That's a bit busy. Don't worry about it. It's just to tell you a little bit more about how things function in our division. Again, you don't need to understand the entire details. Just we have several ways of working with startups and partners. We do direct investment. We do balance sheet investment. So the corporate venture capital and the corporate development team, which is another group from mine, will actually do this. So these are direct investment in companies that are quite mature. So in terms of stages for investment, it's usually B+, B, C series, that type of thing. We like to have companies that have a decent track record and that are solid enough to collaborate with Hyundai. So that would be more on the balance sheet side. Since 2017, we've done around 100 investment like that. So that's the one part of our division. The second part of our division, and the slide you have in front of you, is about this. It's basically the early stage investment that we have. So we will go below B, and we have our own fund for that type of investment as well, meaning we won't have to go through the process of a balance sheet investment with validation from many, many people within the company. So long story short, we invest smaller amounts, but we invest faster. And we also invest in sectors that are not entirely core to the company. These are the sectors I showed you on the slide a few minutes ago. So our group has several missions. You have all the missions on the screen now, and I'll go one by one in the few minutes we have left so you understand what our early stage investment group is doing. We have an accelerator. The first thing, I'll come back to the investment. The first thing we do is we have an acceleration program. Is what it was mentioned just before with our friend at Tap Angel. So what we do when we accelerate, we basically take the needs from internal business unit all over Hyundai. We now have around 150 different teams that are giving us their tech needs. Sorry. These are the top line. You can see Hyundai, Kia, Mobis, etc. And within these affiliates, you have internal business unit, obviously, that are giving some of the needs. In the row that you have in the middle, you will have some of the needs. Of course, when we receive them, there are a lot more details than that. But here, for the sake of simplicity, we just put mobility, charging, healthcare, etc., etc. And when they give us those needs, then that allow us to open a program. We have an open page online, an open call, and then we recruit companies in Korea and global. Once we recruited these companies, I don't think I have a slide on this. No. Once we recruited these companies, we basically select usually the top 20. We make sure they have a good conversation with the internal business unit that actually gave the need. And then we work on a proof of concept with the internal business unit, the startup, and us. Us will provide the legal framework and the money to sponsor the proof of concept. And then the technicalities are obviously between the startup and the internal business unit. We do 40 to 50 proof of concept a year. We might do a bit less next year because there's obviously a little bit of a crunch in our industry, but we like to do proof of concept before validating a commercial agreement or before validating an early stage investment. So that's one thing we do, and that helps us collaborate and see a lot of companies, a few hundred every year through that program. So our group is doing acceleration program. We're also having a company building program, which is less relevant for you guys, obviously, but basically, it's your typical entrepreneurship program. We recruit engineers from within the company, from Hyundai. We let them come up with their idea and their project. We invest the first ticket in these early stage ventures, and then we let them grow for a year. If it's successful, we give them another year. If it's not, we cut the project, and then the people get back to work. And by the way, while they're working on their project, they still get all the benefits from Hyundai. They still get the salaries, their employment is safe, etc., etc. So they're fully free to work on their new ventures. It's a good program because it allows innovation to come from within, and we like that too. Because a lot of the greatest ideas actually come from people that know the brand the most. So it's a program that we do for close to 20 years now, and it's working quite well. And it's also one prerogative of our group, and it's one way we actually do things with related to innovation. The investment bit I mentioned a little bit earlier, the early stage investment. You have a summary here. We have something called the 01 Fund. It's a second fund that we're currently using. It's 80 billion Korean won, so probably 60 to 65 million euros, something like that. We invest mostly in Korea, but we're starting to invest globally. And as you can see, the summary of the Fund 1, we invested in 37 companies using the Fund 1, and that was 10 billion Korean won. And the second fund, as mentioned, 80 billion Korean won. We did a bit more than 60 different investments. Again, mostly Korea, but also a bit overseas. We're currently working on a Fund 3 that should allow us to invest a little bit more in global companies. As mentioned, the 01 Fund allows us to invest in technology that are a bit more frontier than the big core themes that I mentioned at the beginning. The reason for this is it's a separated fund. We have separated LPs, so their risk level, is a little bit higher. They can take a bit more risk, and since the amount is bigger, we can also take a bit more risk compared to your typical balance sheet investments. Just to summarize before wrapping up, so you understand the full structure when it comes to the investment. If you look at sensing, nurturing, it will be 01, and it will be our group and my team. The team I'm in, it's not my team. You will be looking at seed to Series A type of engagement. And then when you look at larger investment on the investment side again, now you will be talking to a corporate venture capital and corporate development teams for larger commercial project, obviously. And I think this kind of sums up a little bit. We also have a large network of corporates, of universities, of VCs and CVCs we work with, and that allows us to scout companies from way beyond Korea. So we're always happy to talk to people in the tech ecosystem, startup VCs, CVCs, government agencies to discover new companies, and we're also always very happy to engage directly with startups. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot via email, and I'll do my best to answer. And I think that was the last slide. That's it for me.
Thank you so much. I don't think that we have any questions yet, so I'd like to ask on this stage, last but not least, Artur Sabalionis, the CEO at AG Marketing, who's gonna share some insights and practical advices on how to grow a business in Korea.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, it's a pleasure. My name is Arthur. Thank you very much for inviting me to be a speaker. I think I'm the only Lithuanian speaker in here, so again, even a bigger pleasure. I first came to Asia a decade ago, and I've been working in the digital marketing field for over 5 years. I've actually first started my startup myself in Korea 5 years ago with my Korean partner. We were just two guys. It actually took off quite quickly. We started a social media marketing agency. Currently, we incorporated in Singapore. We have a small teams in 8 countries, and we work with the 20 people in our company. Okay, so I guess like to very briefly like summarize what I do every day is I make working with Korean and APAC creators and celebrities simple and stress-free. And my work day usually goes like this, is basically having calls with foreign companies all day and consulting and advising them on how to do business in Korea or APAC countries. In the last 5 years, I think I've talked to more than 500 companies, large, small, companies like Microsoft, Adobe, AMD, as well as startup companies, including Lithuanian companies, some Lithuanian unicorns like Hostinger, NordVPN, some etc., some gaming startups as well. So I think I have acquired a lot of practical knowledge about strategies that these businesses take when actually entering South Korea, their go-to-market strategy, marketing, branding, pricing, distribution, etc., etc. So I guess my take out from all these conversations and experiences that every company is unique and there's no one size fits solution. And when talking to every company individually, you always those companies themselves and us like consultants, advisors, giving tips to them. We always consider organic demand, competition, product quality, pricing, distribution, marketing strategy, regulation, legal environment, and etc. I think I could make I could categorize foreign companies who are entering Korea market into 2 main axes. So it would be large companies versus small companies or startups. Large companies, example would be Starbucks or Tesla. And startups, it could be like Lithuanian startup NordVPN or, for example, Feastables chocolate bar by Mr. Beast. As for digital products and physical products, again, very important category that completely changes the strategy. I could give you an example of digital products as games, mobile apps, various softwares, either B2B or B2C softwares, could be various online services like education platforms, for example. And when it comes to physical products, I think these are more familiar to all of us. These are like consumer goods that we tend to use day to day, such as electronics, fashion, beauty products, food. So as mentioned, different types of businesses need different market entry strategies. And, based on it, they can choose to either do direct entry in South Korea or form a joint venture with a local conglomerate. However, what I've noticed even in my last 5 years of doing business is that because of the increasing influence of the rising technologies like e-commerce or social media, digital advertising, more and more businesses choose direct entry to South Korea. While even like a decade ago or 2 decades ago, a joint venture was, I would say, more preferred way. Okay, next slide. So it's almost not possible to give a tip and an advice that fits every different company, but I thought deeply about it, and I think this would be 5 tips that apply universally to all types of companies when doing business in South Korea. So first of all is, set your mind and be ready for intense competition in Korea. Korea market is highly competitive comparing to Lithuanian or even EU. There's strong local and international brands already established in Korea. And to succeed, foreign companies should make sure that your product and service stands out in your quality, in unique features, smart advertising strategies. And even if your market entry goes smooth, journey is not over because your competitor is always looking through your shoulder. So be ready to adapt quickly and improve constantly. Tip number 2 would be understanding local consumers. Korean consumers have specific tastes and preferences shaped by local culture, trends, and lifestyle. And I think like doing a proper research or working with hiring a knowledgeable local team or experienced consultant and learning about local consumers, what they value most in your product category, also studying Korean market trends, social media conversations, studying the successful local competitors is key to succeed when doing business in South Korea. Okay, let's move to number 3, which would tip number 3 is prioritize quality over price. So what I've noticed from my experience that in Korea, when buying foreign products or foreign services, people prefer products that offer high quality, even they cost more. So if your product is reliable, if it's well made, if solves a real problem, it will lead you to success. It will gain you loyal customers, and those customers are willing to pay premium in South Korea. Tip number 4 would be invest in local language support. So Korea, I would say, is one of the most educated country in the world. Korean consumers are some of the most educated in the world. However, they really love local language support. Many of them still struggle to speak English in their daily lives. So speaking the local language shows respects and builds trust. So I always advise foreign companies, especially startups, to localize a website in Korean language, localize a customer service. You can integrate local customer service channels like Kakao, for example, localize marketing materials as well, create some user-generated content on social media channels, etc., etc. And it doesn't always need to be very complicated. If you're a startup, you can just work with a good local translator, just localize a product descriptions, localize some social media posts. Okay, and tip number 5. Again, I think this applies both to big and small companies selling both digital products or physical products. So it's focused on advertising online. Korea is one of the world's most digitally connected countries, with people spending a lot of time online. And local users are using platforms like Instagram, YouTube, as well as local Kakao Talk. So leverage it, be on those platforms, reach those local consumers and promote your product. I would also advise to recommend in creator partnerships, various content ads, be creative, don't be afraid to experiment. Recently, social media landscape is getting really saturated. So I would say in the last 3 years, we noticed that more authentic, more genuine content, more organic storytelling just works better and gives a real advantage. Okay. And lastly, I would just like to talk about 2 recent examples of foreign companies doing business in South Korea. One is chocolate brand Feastables by biggest YouTube creator in the world, Mr. Beast. It just launched a week ago in South Korea. They opened a pop-up shop in Hyundai department store in Seoul, and they're doing a test sale. So they're selling 400,000 chocolate bars in local convenience stores, GS25. So again, like the strategy that Mr. B selected is a joint venture with the Hyundai Group. And the reason why Hyundai Group accepted it and why Korean users are craving for his chocolate is because it's already a well-known brand. Everyone in the world watches Mr. Beast videos. They get hundreds of millions of views, and even he himself has a local Korean team that adds Korean language subtitles on all of his content. So again, it's a startup, but it's already very popular, famous brand. And this type of physical product mass distribution strategy works for him. Another example is a Tesla. It's a famous tech automobile brand. Actually, Tesla is not new to South Korea market. I think it entered the market about 7 years ago, and they chose a direct entry model. And to me, Tesla entry in South Korea was very interesting because automobile market almost had no new market entrants for hundreds of years. South Korea market is dominated by local manufacturers, and there's only 2 groups of cars, I would say, either a normal car made by the local manufacturer or luxury foreign-made car. However, Tesla, I would say, like strike some kind of gold in the middle. They branded themselves as a tech, a savvy CEO type of car, a new modern technology, and it went quite well to them. They opened like several local branches at the shopping malls, selling cars directly to consumers. However, I would say that the big kind of change to them happened around like 2019 when Elon Musk became the richest man in the planet. So then this early majority of consumers really, I think, believed in the brand and started purchasing it. And Tesla is also like not sleeping. They're like constantly doing various promotions in South Korea. Like I just put some images of there a month ago, they had a new local Korean brand ambassador, Kim Yeji, which is a famous Olympic sharpshooter who exploded on X platform, on Twitter platform. Again, like Tesla reacted very quickly. In a 1 month time, they closed this brand ambassador position and making new waves in South Korea. Another good example would be like a famous celebrity, G-Dragon, was noticed with driving a Cybertruck recently. So I would say for a large company like Tesla, constant, like very just be constantly reminding consumers about themselves and doing these cool, authentic, meaningful partnerships with local celebrities really speaks to local consumers. Okay, so I think that's all from me. Yeah, just a very brief, simple, and brief slides. Just hope it will give some valuable insight to you guys.
Thank you so much, Arthur. And actually, I have one question for you. You mentioned that you started your business with a partner in Korea. So what do you think is successful development in the Korean market? Is it possible without a local representative or local partner?
So again, it depends who you are. But I would say if it doesn't matter you're big or small, I would say that like either working with a local person or hiring a local team, or if you have like a chocolate bar that you want to sell to 10 million people and you need like 100,000 convenience stores, right? So then working with a local partner, I think is definitely still the way to go. But again, I think that using new technologies like e-commerce, social media platforms is the way to go to most new companies. So yeah, I would suggest just working with the great local people, and it will lead you to success.
Thank you so much. I don't think we have any questions from the participants. So if anyone has any questions to any of the speakers, please write them down in the chat. But if we're not going to have any questions, I wanted to say huge thanks to all the speakers today. Thank you for making the time, and thank you for letting us know and introducing Korean startup ecosystem to Lithuanians. I know that this is a really exciting market to be working at, and hopefully in the future we're going to have more collaborations between Lithuanian startups and Korean startups or corporations. So really looking forward to that. We've been recording the whole session. So for those of you who joined a little bit later, you can have the whole recording after this event. And thank you for being interested in this in Korean market. If you have any questions for the speakers later, you can send it out to us, and we're gonna send it to the speakers. So thank you so much once again. Hopefully it was very informative. I believe so. And see you next time.